Today I want to talk about my favorite vintage lens, which is the Contax Zeiss 50mm f1.4. This lens has the sharpness of a modern lens, but it still has some qualities of a vintage one. My copy might be a little weird, I'm not sure, but it has a very soft bloom to the highlights, which I absolutely love. In my opinion, the color rendition and sharpness of this lens gives sort of an industrial and cutting look to images. It's something I really like. And the bright aperture of f1.4, which actually might be a little bit brighter, makes it ideal for shooting night scenes as well, which is one of my favorite things to do in photography. And at the time of purchase, it was only around $350, which was a steal for a 50mm f1.4 in my eyes. The autofocus modern equivalents are much more expensive. Now the lens has gone up in price and may continue to go up because they aren't made anymore, and you might as well get one while you can. Anyway, the Contax Zeiss 50mm f1.4 has a long focus throw, a clicked aperture with stops from f1.4 to f16. It's really easy to use this lens with a modern day mirrorless camera too. All you have to do is get an adapter or speed booster, as I have, and you can easily get started shooting on this vintage glass. Another thing that really wows me about this lens is just how sharp it is at all apertures. At f1.4, it's pretty sharp, but as soon as you stop it down to f2, it becomes wildly sharp. It's just like any other lens I've used when it's stopped down to f2.8. Now at f2.8, f4, this lens is pretty much in its sweet spot, and at f5.6, it's about as sharp as you can get with this lens. This lens, you can zoom in quite a bit and still retain a lot of detail, which I absolutely love. The pyramid-shaped grips on the focus rings really feel sturdy and strong to grip, which makes using this lens such a treat. The build is nearly all metal, meaning this lens is quite heavy, so don't be fooled by its small size. I once hit a girl in the head with mine on accident. Suffice to say, her head didn't feel so good after that. But this lens takes great pictures. This lens also has virtually no flaring, which is a big plus in my books. My personal favorite part of this lens, though, is the bokeh. The 6 aperture blades in this lens render a hexagonal shaped bokeh when stopped down. Photographers either love or hate this effect, but personally, I think it's unique and adds a lot of character to this lens. But your opinion might be different. Still, the bokeh is soft and very pleasing to the eye. There aren't a lot of hard transitions between in-focus and out-of-focus areas, which is why this lens has that vintage look. If you haven't already, do check out Media Division's video on the Contax Zeiss series, as they do a much better job than me explaining these lenses. Essentially, they are budget versions of Zeiss Super Speeds, which are cinema-grade lenses that have been used on numerous films. Getting this lens was probably the best thing I've ever done for photography/film, as I've used it for numerous jobs, photography, film, and digital. It's definitely my favorite lens, and I couldn't recommend it enough to someone who wants to get started on vintage glass. You will definitely not look back after. Yeah, anyway, that was it for my review and thoughts on the Contax Zeiss 50mm f1.4. Let me know what you thought of this review, and I'll see you next time.